How's it going today, guys? Chief Man Andy back with another one. I'm going to be going over some of my old Magic decks. So, first, it's not the first deck that I made, but it's one of the ones that I really like. I played when I was younger with my dad and all of his friends, and they always used to whoop me. So I came up with this deck to combat them, and not necessarily to win all the time, but to make people unhappy because I had years and years of getting stomped by them. So I built this deck because they would always whoop me. I call it my Fuck Everyone deck. Sire of Insanity, 6/4. At the beginning of each end step, each player discards his or her hand. Mana Barbs. Each time any land is tapped for mana, Mana Barbs deals 1 damage to that land's controller. And then I got a bunch of different multicolored lands in there. Burning Inquiry, my favorite first turn. Each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. Talia, Guardian of Theraben, 2/1 first strike. Non-creature spells cost 1 colorless more to cast. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, he or she loses 3 life. Then I got Fascination. Choose 1. Each player draws X cards. Each player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Fate Retribution. Destroy all creatures and planeswalkers. If it's my turn, scry 2. When Returned Reveler dies, each player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Starting with you, each player separates all permanents he or she controls into 3 piles. Then each player chooses 1 of his or her piles at random and sacrifices those permanents. Piles can be empty. When Sibsig Host enters the battlefield, each player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. When Merciless Executioner enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. Rakdos Ringleader, 3/1, first strike. When it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card at random. Pay a black, regenerate it. Dark Deal. Each player discards all the cards in his or her hand, then draws that many cards -1. Arc Bond. Choose target creature. Whenever that creature is dealt damage this turn, it deals that much damage to each other creature and each player. Each player sacrifices a creature. Nettle Drone. Tap Nettle Drone, deals 1 damage to each opponent. When I cast a colorless spell, untap him. Pixis of Pandemonium. I think I pronounced that wrong, probably. Tap it, each player exiles the top card of his or her library face down. Pay 7, tap it, sacrifice it. Each player turns face up all cards he or she owns exiled with it, then puts all permanent cards among them onto the battlefield. Slum Reaper. When Slum Reaper enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. When Returned Reveler dies, each player mills 3. At the beginning of each player's end step, that player draws a card. If the player is your opponent and has 4 or more cards in hand, Fevered Visions deals 2 damage to him. Fevered Visions deals 2 damage to him or her. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Choose up to 1 creature, destroy the rest. When a player successfully casts a spell, that player chooses and discards a card. When a land enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to that land's controller. Whenever a creature blocks, that creature's controller suffers 1. Pay a red, a black, and a colorless, regenerate him. At the beginning of my upkeep, each player discards a card. Each opponent who discarded a card that shares a card type with the card I discarded loses 3 life. Bloodfire Colossus. Pay a red, sacrifice Bloodfire Colossus, and sacrifice Bloodfire Colossus. Bloodfire Colossus deals 6 damage to each creature and each player. Each player loses 1 life, then discards a card, sacrifices a creature, then sacrifices a land. And that has been my Fuck Everyone deck. Thank you all for watching. Chief Man Andy, out.